Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading, which is what is the most important thing you can do right now to move to your highest timeline, is in fact a viewer request. I thought it was a fantastic question and a very timely one for things that seem to be going on in the world at the moment. So that we can maybe move to something that is a higher energy than what we're dealing with more generally. At the time I'm filming this. It also intrigued me because I think timelines and portals and different dimensions are very key at the moment. I had a dream only the other night, sort of just a bit before the 999 portal. So that'll date roughly when I'm filming this. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to publish it, but the dream, without going into who, had some famous figures in it who were somehow using that energy to shift to another timeline. Hopefully a better one, given the people that it was. Might have been better, mightn't have been, not sure. But one of the things that was interesting, and it's going to inform part of the way I structure this, is that there was a lot about astrology in it. And so there will be quite a focus on astrology as we go through this. We'll start with some oracle decks to give us a sense about the nature of the thing in the area that the timeline shift will come to for you, or that the opportunity is there. And then we're going to then look at it with tarot around what would be the initiation of that, what would be the revelation you would have, what would be the transformation, just to kind of get a sense about what it could be. But then we're going to hone in it with astrology, trying to work out what aspects of life it's in, what kind of energies will work for you with this, what sort of energies you need to push against or use the tension of, that kind of thing, just to sort of see what that would be to shift your timeline. And then we'll look at a narrative structure to that, some guide energy, that kind of thing, and signs to look out for. So that's the journey. But I thought we'd actually start with what I normally use, the Blue Dragonfly deck, which is a kind of wild card deck for me. But I thought it might actually also give us a little bit of a concept of the theme or area where a shift or a change or a refocusing or a rethinking about things or whatever it might be will help you shift to your highest timeline. So, and it might also help with the choice. So for pile number 1, we have Spirit Has My Back. For pile number 2, we have Inner Beauty. And for pile number 3, we have I Am Independent. Of course, you can go to more than one reading if you want. It could be there's a combination of a couple of these that brings about the actual timeline shift. So you go with whatever works for you. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as I always say, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Spirit Has My Back, talking about secret guide, protection, superior help, reassurance. What that really says to me is that if you have a sense about wanting to shift your timeline, then at this point, one of the most important things is to connect to your spirit guide, your spirit team, and that kind of thing, because I feel as though there is a crossroads, a fork in the road here, and you could shift your timeline to something that will work really well for you, or you could shift your timeline to something that is a bit of a dead end. Not in like literally as in the end of your life or anything, but like it's kind of like there's an opportunity, there's a choice, and your spirit guide is going to help you with this, because coming in with that anyway, we then have, from the Neptune Moon deck, we have no close, and then we have navigating spirit, direction for your journey. I think that this group, if you will know if you're in the right group, actually, I think, because I think you have a choice, and there is something that you need to finish, complete, or definitively say no to shift the timeline. So that could be a choice of spiritual directions. It could be a choice of relationships. It could be a choice of, do I pursue this ambition or do I pursue another one? There's something here, and your spirit guide is going to be a major part of that. Now, as we go through the reading, we will look at, as I say, the initiation, revelation, and transformation involved. But I think we're going to get a big idea about where the no energy is by looking at the astrology, what areas of life and what kind of energies are we looking at there. At one point, we're going to be looking at planets and aspects. So that may tell us, particularly if there's tension, that might be telling us where the no is. But there's definitely here a choice. And it's saying that this is something where your spirit guide, you really need to look to that, because it's not going to be clear. It's sort of like you really are at a point where you could shift to your highest timeline, but you won't even know fully what that is. It may even be that the thing that you would envisage as your highest timeline is in fact not your highest timeline, that you're underestimating it, or you're wanting something that's not going to be good for you. You need to kind of let go and let God, as they say. But in any case, Something has to end, or you have to say no to something and re-navigate to find what you're meant to do. So let's see with tarot. So as I said, like, we're going to start firstly with what is the initiation? What is the step that lets you know a timeline shift is possible? What is the calling almost? The initiation. Six of Pentacles reversed. The World. Yeah, there's something completing. It's very clear. Four of Wands reversed. The Hermit. Two of Pentacles reversed. Okay, yeah. This is an initiation into a new group, a new connection, a new job, a new family environment, a new soul family. There's something like that going on. The thing that you are meant to do primarily is be amongst equals. And the only way that you can do that is to close out on something that has been full of contention. Four of Wands reverse could be like work conflict. It could be family conflict. It could be friendship conflict. But there is something that striving to be seen, I think, or recognized or accepted as part of that group, you have to close that out, because it's probably the case, actually, Pole One, that you are in advance of that group. So you have to find the people who are at your level. And you're going to have a block from those people all the time. If you feel like, if I could be accepted by this group, if I could get that job, if this organization could accept me, if whatever it might be, if this person that I want to be in love with would accept me, then then I'll have my highest timeline. There's something I think you yearn for that connects with others, but you're finding conflict and a block. But that is telling you, I think, that you're beyond that. That you have to find your equals, that you're never going to be accepted because you kind of threaten the energy. That's what this seems to be saying to me. And it's saying that if you go within, the initiation is to go within, because that's where you're going to connect with your spirit guide. Then you're going to understand that this was almost beyond choice, that you would have been continually bashing your head up against a wall, so to speak, to try and make the timeline move to get rid of that conflict. This you have been pushed to this and pushed to closing something out so that you will go to the level you're meant to be at. So, and your spirit guide can see it and they want to take you there, but you want something at the moment, and it can't happen because you're beyond it. Okay. So the initiation is to understand that once you move to this new timeline, once you take on this possibility, you've gone beyond that. And so you've got to let it go. So that's number one. So then what is the revelation that will come to you if you follow that guidance? Three of Swords, yeah, the separation energy. Four of Swords reversed. The Devil. Knight of Wands. Six of Swords. Okay. So what I would say, Pole One, is that you can definitely, because the whole point of this reading is to be able to move to your highest timeline, but it's a bit of a journey, I've got to say, because you got stuck in something. You got stuck in something that you do really have to disconnect from completely, and it was almost an obsession. It bound you. It bound you in some way, and there is really the disconnection. This no is very powerful in this. It has to break. And it has to obviously break. It's not even that you can, to move to this highest timeline, just kind of like quietly retreat and not be seen. It's like it's not necessarily that you have to go and have a battle with these people, but you have to kind of voice yourself into something new. You have to kind of voice the closure and say, now I'm going to, and that may just be to your spirit guide. It may be in prayer, but it could also be that you need to sort of say to people, I'm no longer going after that. I know that there's something else calling me. And then there's the journey. And the journey within is a journey of creativity. There could be actually some physical change around this. You could move home, move city, something like that. But otherwise, the beginning of the journey is to accept that and to accept your ambition and your light, and that it's not going to be something you will need. This is why Spirit's with you. At first, it's going to be very unfamiliar. Like, it almost looks to me like, not that you've necessarily got caught in a rut, but it's sort of like the battle that you've been in for recognition and acceptance it's at least familiar. So it's kind of hard to do this, but on the other level, you've gone beyond it. You're not going to be accepted. So that's it's saying you've got to be, and this is why Spirit Guide will be with you. It will help you navigate because you won't be sure of what you're doing. It's going into something new. I mean, a classic thing would be, you've hit a glass ceiling or something like that in a workplace. It's not going to shift, and you have to go and do work in something very different, and it's almost you feel like I'm starting all over. But there's a lot of energy there when you do that, and you're a lot freer. You can move a lot quicker, actually. That's one of the things that you're going to know about this when you shift the timeline, that things start to move quicker. And sometimes that might feel a bit disorienting, but remember, Spirit has your back. Momentum is going to tell you, that's going to be part of what's telling you this is happening. So the revelation, I think, is that once you free yourself and you speak it into being, things move quickly, if a little bit chaotically at first. So then what is the transformation that we see coming out of that in the higher timeline? Two of Wands, King of Wands reversed, Seven of Pentacles, the Lovers. Oh, okay. Eight of Swords. Okay. So I think there's a few things that are waiting for you in this timeline. I think, firstly, choice. One, it goes from, at the moment you have no choice, your spirit guide's telling you, like, don't waste your time anymore, move on, even if it feels chaotic. But the transformation is to allow choice, and it relieves you from suppressive energy that was not legitimate. And it leads you to growth. And it may feel, once you've sort of like started, it'll go fast at first, but then the transformation itself, the true transformation, takes time. It grows within you. It will bring better relationships and more clarity in making decisions about relationships. And you'll understand where you had like kind of limited yourself. Because that's what this is saying to me. I think that this group, as I say, if this message doesn't resonate, look at one of the others, because I think if it does, it'll be like a force of revelation. You are beyond the thing that you are trying to be accepted by. And when you see that, you get away from the false ego stuff. You can make more clear decisions, but you'll understand your own responsibility for that too, and you'll take on the responsibility of choice. Okay, so let's have a look at the astrology, because I think astrology is going to be quite pertinent here. I'm going to start firstly with rolling the astro dice 3 times. This is just to give some idea about some of the energy and the aspects of life where this might most happen. Then, as I say, we're going to use the Celestial Bodies deck to have a look at aspects and then what planets could be involved in those, to get a bit of a sense about both what is easeful and what is challenging energy that will be part of it, that you need to be aware of and harness and understand to be able to move to the timeline. So, first roll of the astro dice. We have the first house, who you are in the world, Mars, taking action towards who you are in the world. And we have Aries, the new. Your ambition rather than other people's ambition. I think that this has something to do, whether it's wanting to be chosen in love and there's a better lover, whether it's wanting to be chosen at work, whether it's wanting to be accepted in a group. This is saying your energy is more initiatory, and it's like it's not really a group sport. It's actually you, and you need to move forward and have that ambition rather than and not worry about how other people think about it, because you will find your people. You will. It's saying it right at the beginning, 6 of Pentacles reversed. You'll find your equals, and that's when it will work. But you've got to own your own ambition, literally, and who you are in the world and how you present yourself to the world. Secondly, we have the 4th house, who you are at home, Venus, who you love, who you care about, Aquarius. Okay. Yeah, again, getting a bit more dispassionate in a way and transpersonal about where you put your love, particularly for what comes closest to you. I do feel this is really about breaking away from groupthink in a way, breaking away from a kind of calcified societal or organisational or something like that idea about what it is to fit in and what it is to have the right thoughts and the right beliefs or whatever. And this is about you in your core, protecting your heart by spreading out and using that transpersonal energy and thinking more broadly, and that will help bring in the energy. So there is something here about being both caring but protected and dispassionate. And we have 6th house, so in your workplace, definitely, or in how you serve others, what you say, how you communicate with Mercury, Pisces, using psychic, yeah, that's actually partly a connection to your spirit guide, that it will come out in how you serve others, what workplace or what groups or what routines. There is something about the routines. I think like letting the mercurial energy come through, the psychic energy, helps you work out what routines in your life and what occupation and all that kind of thing will take you in the right direction and what you need to let go of. So you're needing to focus on how you present yourself to the world, how you protect what is core to you, and then how you serve others. This is connected to you having the breakthrough. So let's see the other astrology energy. So as I said, I'm going to start firstly, I've got from the Celestial Bodies deck, I've got all the cards that are aspects. So we're just going to do a couple of these. We're going to see the two core aspects, and then depending upon what the aspect is, I may draw one, two, well, it'll be at least two cards and possibly three or more cards from what the planets are. So this is energies. If the aspect is challenging, it's a challenge that helps you push through to the high timeline. If it's easeful, it's something that will help you and support you. So watch out for that and kind of work with that when you need it. So the first aspect that we're talking about is opposition. That doesn't surprise me at all. This is the point. You've got to oppose and move away from and understand what is different to move towards what is you need to move towards. And this could be either of the planets. So think about that. So let's get the planets. So the first planet, Saturn. Yeah, the old order, the old structure. So I think it's going to be pretty clear what you're moving away from. And then the second planet, Uranus. Yeah, absolutely. You've literally got two planets that are almost, I mean, I think Saturn and Jupiter are a bit more like opposites than Saturn and Uranus, but that's pretty close. This opposition is two planets that are like balancing each other and opposing each other, and the energy, you have to find a midway point. I think with this is the discernment to take what of the structure, learning, strength, history that you have that is you, to get the breakthrough, to get to your level, because at the moment it's blocked. You're blocked. So you need to be able to leave behind that which blocks you from Saturn and only take forward what will sustain you and take you to the next level. So that opposition is to use structure when it works for you and leave it behind when it doesn't, to bring about the capacity to free up the energy of some new inspiration. Okay, so the second aspect that has got to do with how you do this is Yod. Okay, and there's fate associated with this. So remember, lack of choice, finding your own people. Yod is the finger of fate. There's two planets that kind of work together to connect with a direction. So we're going to start with the two planets that are kind of working together, and then we'll see what the direction is for you. And this is where fate happens. This is where the spirit guide is going to help bring you in. So the first of the two planets that are kind of joining forces to direct their energy towards the third is Mars. So we saw Mars before. Remember, Mars was all about your ambition. So your ambition and the new is important, picking up also the Uranian sort of new energy. The second planet working together here is the sun. So yes, who you are in your life path. Your ambition and your life path is now getting activated. What planet helps activate your ambition and your life path? Pile one. Wow, the south node and north node. So not a planet, but actually a point. So yes, this is leaving behind the past, because that's what this is. The south node is leaving behind the past life, the past actions, to move towards what you are meant to do. This is a time for you, pile one, that is very destined. And it's kind of written in your astrology chart in many ways. And it's saying that you have to leave the past behind. It is done. That's the no, that's the close. There is something new. But I think that it's hard to let go of it for some reason. I think because there's been conflict and you're wanting to resolve that. But the conflict is meant to make you move towards what is good and new. So what we want to do as well then is look at what is the shift of narrative. Because in some ways, the best way to understand a timeline shift is almost to see what story am I leaving and what story am I going to. So I'm using a deck that has mythologies and fairy stories, and fairy tales and things like that, and symbols, to see if we can get towards what that is. So in a way, the story before, which had a block for you, but might have been enticing, depending upon what it is, it's Snow White. So there's a block. Jealousy. Something had to do with jealousy. That's one of the reasons that you got stuck. And what are you moving towards? Grace. Okay, freedom. All right, that's Swan Lake. So thinking about these stories, when we talk about Snow White, there is a purity of what you wanted to do, and that purity is what the spirit guide connects with. But you were drawn into something that was poisonous. You've been in a poisonous situation because it's like trying to be accepted or trying to be in something that's not going to accept you because, as I say, you've gone beyond it. The story in that was, Snow White was the fairest of them all, and the Queen did not like that. So that's an energy of that, where the very thing that makes you special is the thing that causes resentment. That's the story you're leaving behind. You're moving towards now Swan Lake. There's a kind of curse that needs to be free to be truly oneself, rather than just in hiding. One has to have that released. But I think because we have the spirit guide, this is saying the magic to release you will happen. You just have to let go of that because you got caught almost in the competition, and you're beyond it, pile one. You're above that. It's a curse. It's become the curse that's held you, and that is what breaks the curse for you. Okay, so let's just get you a spirit guide, a powerful spiritual entity from the Altar Oracle statue deck. So, and I always pause and look up what it's saying about this because it has a number of different gods and goddesses that are associated with whatever we get, and depending upon that, there may be one that particularly you can particularly resonate with. So a guide to help you. It might literally be this guide, or it might be another guide to help. Oh my goodness, is Lucifer. The light, the fallen light. So let's just find that in the book. So this connects to Leo and the sun, so your life path. And it's more Lucifer in the sense of the angel Lucifer, not kind of satanic. Just bearing that in mind, there's lots of different entities that kind of connect with that. So the other entities that this connects with are Apollo, Ra, Vishnu. So it's all about light bringers. Lucifer represents the light rays of the sun, the promise of enlightenment, whether spiritual, artistic, intellectual, or recreational. To awaken, to light up, to play, and to love are his noblest aspirations for us. It means the revelation is upon you. So you're getting there. Open your eyes and your heart to let it in. If you have banished your demons to the underworld, he will befriend them and release them upon you. Befriend them yourself and save yourself from their wrath. So I think this is basically saying if you have got caught up in this tussle for supremacy or acceptance, it's like you've kind of let the demons rule. That's not bringing the light. Let that go. Let it go. No, close it out. It doesn't matter. Go towards what you're meant to do. Go towards the light, the hermit light we saw, all of that kind of thing. So that's the energy. This is meant to free you. But if you wanted to stay stuck and just somehow prove it, it's going to consume you. Whereas if you let it go, you're going to transcend it. That's what it's basically saying for you. Okay. So to just finish off, I just want you to choose a number between 1 and 3 because we're going to look for a dream symbol or energy that will help you know when the timeline is shifting, when you've done the work. And it may also give you some other clues about things to focus on to make this happen. So pause if you need to because I'm about to deal out, but choose a number between 1 and 3. So for number 1, we have butterfly. That's a very suitable one. For number 2, we have silver. And for number 3, we have jungle. Okay, so if you chose number 1, this is a major transformation. You can't be a caterpillar anymore. You've got to be a butterfly. It also makes me think in a way of the ugly duckling. Like I think this might be part of the thing. Like I often think, does the caterpillar think the butterfly is beautiful? Probably not. But we think the butterfly is beautiful. In the ugly duckling, there's like trying to fit in, but going beyond, being more beautiful in a way. And this is about maturing, rebirth, transformation, joy, freedom. This is when you have that sense that you've been reborn and released, that's going to be a very big sign of it. And watch out for butterflies in some form or another. In songs, people might have it on their clothes. You might see them flying by. If you chose number 2, silver, insight, intuition, spirituality, divine protection, this is a particular thing to go back that your connection to your guide is really strong, and you will get a very strong sense of it. I would actually be saying for some of you, wear some silver jewelry or some silver clothes. I feel like you actually embodying that will be helpful. The other thing about it is I think it's silver finding its beauty beyond, like silver trying to be gold, but it doesn't have to be gold. Gold isn't necessarily better. Silver has its own purity. And if you chose number 3, jungle, instinct, potential, authenticity, risk, uncharted territory, this is the one where probably you will feel it, but you will know it's happening when you feel a little bit uncertain, like I'm in a different world, a different timeline, a different job, a different group. It's going to feel like that at first. But this is where the potential lies, and this is where you're going to find who you really are. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Inner Beauty, which talks about self-love, romantic feelings, and falling in love. I feel like there's one of two things, and it could be depending upon who comes to this reading, but we'll see as we get tarot whether one becomes more obvious than the other. That this new timeline and what you need to do to get there, to get to your highest timeline is about. One may be about you truly coming to accept yourself, love yourself, and then take a message out from that to help others in some way. And to truly own that self-love and that sense of the inner beauty. The other, and that might suggest that you felt that beauty hasn't been seen, and this is a way for you to affirm it, and that's part of it to get to that point. The other is that there might be a destined love, because either way, we've got destined path, embrace fate. It's like if you're going to embrace your inner beauty and who you are, you've got to embrace your fate. You've got to go, this is what I was born with, and this is who I am, and it's beautiful. Which is an important thing to do, to be in your highest timeline, or just to find happiness or contentment. So that's definitely there. And then Mercury, the messenger, important information. This is you taking. I think you're meant to say or do something. Like out of whatever this is, part of your highest timeline is taking a message, communicating something, whether it's your own journey to find self-love that helps others, or whether it is a message that actually brings in love, because that's the other possibility with romantic feelings, falling in love. So it sort of depends. If you have been looking for a timeline where you find your great love, then this is saying that's possible. If you're looking for a timeline where you feel truly happy in yourself, then not only is it possible to get there, but part of, whether it's almost a pay it forward thing, or whether part of the reason that the universe is going to support you moving there is because you will help others. The message that in itself does is important. So either way, and it could be a bit of both, because it could depend on who's coming to the reading, but it may be that it'll become more obvious as we go through the reading, which it is if it's one rather than the other. So what we're going to do with tarot, we're going to look at what is the initiation, what is the stepping off point where you kind of sense you're going to shift the timeline, what initiates that. Secondly, what revelation do you have in the process of doing it? And thirdly, what transformation comes from doing it? So that, as I say, might tell us a little bit more about what this is about. So what is the initiation point that we're looking at for a timeline shift? Ace of Wands, Page of Swords reversed. It's very important what you say. Page of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Seven of Swords reversed. Okay. I do think for many of you this might be about finding love. But I'll talk about both, because not everybody's going to be coming to this as looking for that. You might already be happily in love, and so that's not going to be a timeline shift. But if I was looking at this as the falling in love, or the destined love, then this would say to me that a new energy, you've got to focus on a new energy that has a pure beginning. Like it would almost say to some degree with the Page of Swords reverse, moving away from maybe people that you've been interested in before or whatever, or moving away from where messages and discussion weren't clear. Like one of the things that you have to focus on for your new timeline to bring in love is that the energy is pure and it's not distorted. So Mercury operates as a good messenger, bringing important information and important connection, not as a trickster energy. And that this is about manifesting that, like manifesting something that gets rid of a distortion that's been in the field around passion and love, brings in the true love, the kind of the Holy Grail kind of Knight of Cups thing, and that is realistic. It actually looks to me like, if it is around love, that there's something here. The timeline shift is to get away from the kind of information, the type of theories, the type of practices or whatever that were distorting the field and not realistic. It's like getting real. So that the new love energy that comes in is the right love energy. So an example might be, if you were around people, around a group of people, and they said, you can only fall in love with and you can only have true love with somebody who has exactly the same like kind of political and social and religious beliefs or whatever. And that's actually the wrong message to get, because it's in the connection with someone who's different but somehow destined that you get the true love and the better manifested outcome. Then it's moving away from that distortion. I'm not saying that's literally what's happening to you. I'm just saying it as an example. But there's definitely something here about understanding that communication needs to be clearer and it needs to be realistic and it needs to be honest. So for some of you, it might be that you've been in relationships that you haven't felt honest, and this is shifting a timeline to get to that. And therefore it can be something like, it's not just romantic, it can be. But there's a destined energy. If this is about self-love, then the first principle of that and the energy of that is getting away from the negative self-talk, being realistic about yourself, but seeing what is beautiful in what you are. So again, if there was a negative self-talk, if you were sort of like watching, I don't know, TikTok or something like that, and it was sort of saying this is what it is to be beautiful and you don't feel you fit that cutout, that's wrong. You're beautiful anyway. Find what is true and beautiful in you. So there's something about clearing the Mercury energy and making that operate well, because there's something you're destined, and there's something destined around this that you're meant to do, whether it's fall in love or, as I say, like love yourself more and be able to help others do that. So let's have a look at what is the revelation associated with moving the timeline. Death, transformation, choice, Two of Swords, Judgment reversal. That's interesting. Those two together. I'll get to that. The Magician. Yeah, there's something here definitely about where there's been dishonesty, I think. Dishonesty in relationships or dishonesty in groups or dishonesty in what you thought would be considered beautiful compared to what is. There is definitely a clearing of the Mercury energy in a way. The revelation is that the distorted Mercury energy, the distorted communication channels, the distorted social things, the distorted relationships, whatever it is the thing that has taken you off your course. What this is saying is that once you realize this is a mental thing, actually. This is very much through communication, through thinking, through analyzing. You can actually see this. You'll see it, and then you'll see what the choice is and that you have choices that you didn't think you had. What this is saying is that you can transform into whatever you want, really, once you know that it's the true thing that you want. So it's saying like that the choice is there. You don't have to rush it, because judgment upright you usually do have to rush. Death you don't have to rush too much in terms of choices. So the choice is there, and the choice, but it's a mental one. And it's like, it's actually a small shift. Like that's interesting. Like this whole thing that the person who suggested this was saying is, what's the one important thing? It's actually a fairly small shift in belief, or shift in perception of things, or shift in communication of things, all the things that have to do with swords. That opens up a big change and transformation that you can decide on the timing, and it shifts you away from false judgments as well, because you've had false judgments that have been clouding things and taking you away from your direction. So it's sort of like either finding the right love or finding your own self-love. You suddenly realize it's such a small thing of actually looking differently at communication and the messages and what your fate really is. And why would it be maybe that you were drawn into this web of falsity in a way? And maybe the point of that was so that you could eventually help others, because you liberate yourself. So what is the transformation? It's all about the way you think. For you, what is the one most important thing? It's changing the way you think. What's the transformation? World reversed. Four of Swords, King of Wands, Four of Wands, the Devil reversed. Okay, yeah. First thing I heard there, I'm a work in progress. Love is a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Whatever it is, it's like it's seeing you and your destiny and who you are and what's beautiful about you as an evolution. It's allowing some of it to be private. Like I get a really strong sense here that for some of you, it's like there's far too much influence on you at the moment from things like YouTube or TikTok or things like that. It's like it feels like get offline. Get offline and get to who you are. That's what I'm sort of feeling here. See yourself as a work in progress. See love as a work in progress, and that it's a private thing. You can create your own charisma. And if you get away from this static, you'll do it better. And then you'll have the harmony that you're looking, and then you'll have the liberation, whether it's to find the great love or whether it's to as I say, have that self-love. It's like get away from, you're in the wrong frequency. That's what you've got to shoot. The wrong frequency of information, communication, ideas, biases, whatever it might be, there's something like that, and it's blocking your destiny, it's blocking your inner beauty or your love. But once you actually realize that and you make a conscious choice to shift what you're listening, who you listen to, what you listen to, how often you go online, whatever it might be, that's the thing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use astrology. We're going to use it in two ways. As I said, it's pretty astrology heavy. The first thing is we're going to roll the astro dice 3 times just to see kind of more description about what aspects of life you need to focus on. Then we're going to use the Celestial Bodies deck, and we're going to look at particular aspects and planets to sort of see what energies are operating in harmony and what energies are challenging you in this timeline shift. So firstly, we have Venus, yes, beauty, love, all of those things. In Libra, balance and social issues, but in the 8th house. Okay. This is getting to the depth of what's going on socially. I think there's a big social media thing in this, actually. I think it's saying get to your love and bring it into balance, because the social thing at the moment is almost, it's like Libra trying to be Scorpio. It's like it's not a good mix. It's too heavy. And Scorpio, I mean, I'm a Scorpio, so I have nothing against Scorpio, but Scorpio can be jealous. Scorpio can be competitive on that kind of like really emotional sort of level. So I do think there's something here about understanding the depth of the programming in a way from social media. So break away from that. Secondly, okay, we've got Mars. Sorry, I just had to stop that before it went over the edge of the table. The 6th house in Taurus. Okay. For some of you, this will play out in a workplace with the 6th house, or in how you serve others. It will play out around what your ambition is and what life you want to create. So for some of you, either finding the great love or finding that love of self will bring you what the Taurian energy brings you, the 2nd house, the life that you want. I do think there's a thing here that says you should be able to have the status, possessions and so forth that you want to have the life that you want. It's just, are you going after the life you want at the moment, or the life that, as I say, other messages have told you? Because once you free yourself to work out what you really want, then it looks like your kind of material working world will move towards you being able to do that. Third roll, we have the moon, so psychic energy, emotions, Gemini, the 11th house. Yeah, it's like there's something, Gemini again, great sign, but can be a bit two-faced, can be kind of like pulling you in 2 different directions. In the 11th house, social media again. There's something in this about social media, I think, or what we get online and what we believe as a result of that. And this is like starting to understand that and detach from that, I think. Eventually, you can then take the message through social media and help others, but you've first of all got to detach from it, I think, pile 2. So let's see the planets and the aspects. So as I say, we're just going to do this twice. We're going to get an aspect and then however many planets we need to look at it. Just to sort of see, is this easeful? Is it easeful aspects? Is it challenging aspects? Is it a bit of both? What's going on? So firstly, opposition came up with the other one first off. It doesn't surprise me. It almost, maybe opposition's going to turn up in all of them, we'll see, because it sort of like makes sense, timeline shift. It's what are the two forces astrologically that are kind of like opposing each other and staring each other down that is necessary for the energy of the timeline shift. So what are the 2 planets? Firstly, we have Venus. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's what do you find beautiful, love, all of those things, in opposition with the moon, the emotional side of it. Yeah, that's interesting. I think what it's saying at the moment is, I think it's actually get to what is, in a weird way, using Venus and the moon in opposition to it, instead of letting them fight against each other. How do I feel about my beauty, about love and all that kind of thing? It's like I'm going to actually use them as a balancing thing, because at the moment, because of that opposition, because I'm almost seeing my emotions and beauty in or love in opposition, I'm kind of going to Mercury, and I'm going to the communication, I'm going to the other viewpoints, I'm going to what society tells me. I think this is actually use the opposition as a balance and go into the heart of what really matters to you in terms of love and beauty. That will help. Then a second aspect to look at is sextile. Then it's going to be relatively easy once you do this. Like, that's a relatively easy thing. So what are easy energies astrologically for you to use to help to wean yourself off the rather corrosive false messages you've been getting, so that you can actually get clarity? The sun, so your life path, like once you actually start to believe in your life path, that will work well with, wow, the south node and north node. So this is moving away from the south node. What doesn't work, moving towards what you want. So this is shifting your life path to your inner beauty, to what is it you want. That's why we've got the Taurus thing as well too. You're allowed to want things. I almost wonder if some of you have been told you can't do that because it's not spiritual or it's not caring or whatever. There's some false messages. You've got to move away from those, and you've got to get into what your heart is and what you really want, because that's what you're meant to do. Pole 2. Okay, so let's have a look at it on a level of narrative. So what I mean by that is that, if we're moving from one timeline to another, it's almost like we're shifting narrative. So I think it's a good way. What is the story you're leaving behind? What is the story you're moving towards? The story you're moving towards might have its own challenges when you go to this timeline. The story you're leaving behind might have had some things you want to carry with you into it because it was good, but it would just be interesting to see what's the narrative shift we're talking about. So what you are leaving behind from the current timeline, okay, is the sense that you knew what you were doing. You were navigating, like there was information coming, it was telling you where to go, but it wasn't telling you the right way to go, but it made you feel secure. This is going much more within your own emotions and your own knowing. Okay, so then what are you heading towards as a story? Okay, The Great Gatsby. Feeling worthy, feeling beautiful, feeling like you've achieved something. And then working out what was real and what wasn't real, and what was worthy and what wasn't worthy, rather than wondering if you were worthy in some way, because that's, in a sense, the arc of Gatsby. So I think this is saying that in a weird way, even if you felt lesser than you should, or you didn't feel you were finding love in the way you should, or whatever it was, that you sort of thought, just listening to all these different viewpoints and so forth, social media, as I say, or like kind of social groups or whatever, was giving you the navigation, but it wasn't, because it wasn't your navigation. This is going to your inner beauty, and then you can be Gatsby, who's really achieved something, and then you can make the right choice about relationships, and about what desires should be, rather than what you think people are telling you it should be. Okay, so let's get you a spirit guide to help you with this. And this is a particular deck where I am actually going to look at the book, because it's not just the guide that comes up. It relates it to other ones in other systems, so that you might say, well, I don't know what that one is, but I recognize that god or goddess or whatever, and so I can relate to that. So the one watching over you here is Tyrannos. Okay. So Tyrannos is connected to Sagittarius, so sort of freedom of movement and philosophy and so forth, and Jupiter, which is a very benefic energy. This is meant to be benefic. It's also inspired by Sabazios, Taranis, Heyoka, and other heroic saviors, and represents the most popular archetype in all myth, heroism. So that makes sense in a way, because giving you the heroism to move away from the distorted messages of what would be acceptable or beautiful or worthy of love to what truly is within you. That is a kind of heroism. It says there are times when a hero is needed to save us from harm, to lead a revolution, or to boldly go where no one has gone before. In theory, a tyrant is a populist who rises to power for the good of the people. The trick is, in practice, their absolute power has often corrupted them. Beware, but do not let this blind you to more subtle forms of tyranny. More subtle forms of tyranny. So it's also telling you about this, is that when Mercury is distorted, when it's trickster energy, when social stuff is distorted, it takes you away from your fate, and it is a different form of tyranny. This is about freedom for you. To encounter tyrannos is a god in the machine, deus ex machina. Sudden victory where defeat was once imminent. But do not wait to be bailed out, and maybe you has to step up just in time. So I do think this is like it. This is necessary. Like, this brings you to victory, whether it's in love or in self-love. And you will then have a message that is more pure to take to others. But like, there is a kind of a subtle tyranny you've been living under, and this is a timeline to move you out of that. Okay. So last but not least, we're just going to get a sign or a symbol or a synchronicity that might tell you that this is occurring. So I want you to choose a number between 1 and 3. Pause if you need to, because depending upon which number, that will be your sign or synchronicity. So number 1, eagle. Number 2, earth. And number 3, cliff. Okay. All right. So if you chose number 1, the eagle, that makes a lot of sense. Getting a higher perspective, getting above things. Power, strength, autonomy, success, authenticity. Authenticity probably being the really key word there. When you feel you can fly high, when you can see things clearly, when you're free of that kind of subtle tyranny of the social network and that kind of thing, that's when you will know. And you may see eagles, you may hear songs talking about eagles, you might see pictures of eagles or whatever. If you chose number 2, earth, tactile, tangible, material, practical, I think that for you, there needs to be something really practical around this. So if it's about love, it will be meeting the person you feel you really could build something with. If it's about, inner beauty, it will be something you do materially. It could be a change of the way that you present yourself. It could be a physical program you're going to, or something like that. This will be a sign that you are deciding to do what is true to you rather than what the social world has told you to do. If you chose number 3, you're going to feel quite uncomfortable at first, because it is almost as though this social media, these people, this communication was your navigation. And you're thinking like, am I about to jump off a cliff? But that's the exact moment when, no, you're not doing that. You're not jumping into a ravine like that. You're probably going to become the eagle. You fly when you take the risk. And knowing and feeling that sense and the exhilaration, but also the fear of the risk, is the sign that you're about to shift timelines. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to I am independent, freedom, liberation, individuality, free spirit. So certainly there's something about a timeline shift. Your highest timeline is for you to be truly independent in some way. It doesn't mean that you have to be on your own completely, or have your own business or whatever, or any of those things. I mean, it could, but it doesn't have to mean that. But I think this is independence of thought, independence of motion, flying almost independent of the need for anybody else to take you on the flight. Like, there's a sense of self-sufficiency here, and knowing what you carry, and knowing where you are going, and that kind of thing. It could be you literally are meant to liberate yourself from something, leave a job, leave a relationship, leave a home, all of those sort of things, but it could be much more an internal independence of spirit. What I can tell you, though, is it's very spiritual, and it's connected back to karmic things. So this may be freeing yourself from karmic energy and karmic bonds. It could be freeing yourself from generational karma. It could be just an understanding of your karma and how that gives you the knowledge with the Akashic records here to be able to go towards what you want to do independently with confidence. And you can sense the energetic shifts. You're attuned to subtle energy. So you are very well attuned to know when a timeline shift opportunity is there. So I feel like this is a cry to the heavens that I'm going to be free. I'm going to do what I believe in now. But it's based on where you've come from before and your very, very finely attuned way of reading the energy around you. So let's have a look with tarot. We're going to start first with what is the initiation, the thing that is first going to head you towards being independent, free in the way that you want to be. The second bit is going to be the revelation you get when you start to shift timelines. And the third is going to be the transformation when you have shifted timelines. So firstly, the initiation point. What is this all really about? Eight of Pentacles reversed. The Hierophant. Oh, wow. You're an interesting group. Two of Cups reversed, Four of Cups, Five of Swords. Okay, all right. Firstly, it is possible with the Two of Cups reversed, this is breaking free of a relationship, a love relationship or something that was not going where it needed to go. And you've kind of seen that and you're free to do that. And you know that's where you're at with your destiny. You can pick up the subtle energies. That is possible with those cards. But I've got to say for most of you, this is about achieving a form of spiritual mastery. Because Eight of Pentacles reversed to me is mastery. It's where we've moved beyond the focus of the Eight of Pentacles upright to not needing to focus anymore because we've mastered something. And it's with the Hierophant. And this fell exactly where the Akashic records were. So I think that this is a group where your independence comes from very deep knowing and having passed a lot of other tests and probably, quite frankly, shifted timelines quite a few times before, both in this life and in others. So this is a deep mastery that allows you to be independent. On a very practical level, therefore maybe leaving connections that you've done before that have blocked you and just walking away and doing your own thing. On a very practical level, this could be someone who has reached a point in their career where they're no longer satisfied and they're feeling blocked in an organisation, but they've mastered what they can do and they can go out and literally be independent. That's an example of it on a pragmatic level. But you can read the subtle energies a great deal. You have the knowledge and the wisdom. You have mastered something. The timeline shift is now about you claiming that, I think. So that's the initiation. What's the revelation? What revelation comes to someone who's mastered the thing and now can be independent? What is almost surprising or revelatory for you about this? Seven of Wands reversed, the Star reversed. Oh, this is interesting. The Devil reversed, the Nine of Cups reversed, the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. So what is going to be revealed to you now is your mastery, I think. And that it is safe now to do it. It's almost safe to let go. I keep seeing this person now flying with the dragon, but they don't need the dragon anymore. It's like it's safe to do that. You've reached that point, but you've been hesitant. You've been hesitant to follow your own star, to do your own thing. But this is liberation. Liberation comes because you know you are no longer feeding your true dream. You are meant to succeed and create your own legacy. That's what this is talking about. I think for a lot of you, this will be around work or something like that. It's around you doing something like that. But for some of you, it might be spiritual work, creating your own spiritual legacy. There is a possibility it's about separating from a love relationship, but if it is, it's to find the right one and be in something longer term. I think for most, this feels more practical. Okay, let's have a look at the actual transformation we're talking about. Three of Wands reversed, the World, Page of Swords, Two of Swords reversed, Four of Swords reversed. Okay, so one of the things about the transformation here is that it will help you decide what things are complete and you don't need to continue with. And some of it may be about completing some karma, and that is now no longer necessary as part of your path. It's certainly got to do with how you're going to communicate with the world and your ideas about the world. And it's almost as though you have a message that comes through this that you don't even have a choice about. You're independent, but the message is so clear, it's so connected, and it's coming from such a subtle but powerful thing that you don't have a choice about what you're going to be talking about, or that you are going to have to say something. This is bringing you more to be seen as well in some way. You don't have a choice about that. But what you can do is close off the pathways and the energy that are no longer necessary. But this isn't just meant to be private. The mastery is meant to be shared in some way, and you are going to find in the transformation that you have to say your truth. For whatever reason, you are going to have to do that. So that's the energy that we're seeing. Sorry if I just disturbed the camera. So let's have a look at this with astrology. So this is going to be fairly astrology heavy. We're going to do two different things with astrology. We're firstly going to use the astro dice. We're going to roll it 3 times to get a little bit more idea about the areas in life and the type of energy we're talking about in the timeline shift. Then we're going to use the celestial bodies deck to find aspects and the planets to see whether we're looking at easeful aspects or difficult, challenging aspects. Firstly, the astro dice. So we've got the moon in Aries in the 8th house. Yeah, this is a magical mastery, definitely. This comes from karmic energy. This comes from almost magical mastery. Even if it's in a very pragmatic thing around your work, there's still a mastery energy, and this is to initiate something new. It's the very subtle energies that are waking this up, the deep and subtle energies. So it's not, I mean, there could be, as I say, a pragmatic thing that's triggering you. You might be feeling really frustrated in a workplace, but what's really calling you is much deeper than that. Very psychic group. Second level, we've got Taurus, creating the life that you want, creating the legacy. Neptune, through the psychic subtle energies, but also through work. I do think this has to do with work in some way. This is independence in that, or how you serve others, or the routines in your life. But I think for most of you, this is going to play out in the workplace, and there's something about your psychic, spiritual energy and knowledge and mastery that is going to take you to that level of independence. And we have Aquarius, we have again work, 6th house, Neptune. Okay, and this is also bringing the message into your workplace and giving it a wider, there's some sort of wider audience for what you're doing. There's some sort of wider audience around your spirituality and the subtle things, and that's part of what your life's work is. So it's sort of like if you left a workplace where you were doing a particular thing and you went out to be a consultant, then you have a much wider network, but all of this is underpinned by the very subtle energies, the spiritual energies. And for some of you, it might be going independent and doing a spiritual job in some way. Okay, so let's see the kind of aspects we're looking at in the timeline shift. So we're going to do that twice. We're going to do 2 aspects, and then depending upon the aspects, see what planets are involved. So the first aspect that's involved in the timeline shift is Grand Cross. Okay, so this is a kind of a tense, but it's a inevitable, you have to do it type of energy. It's sort of like, planets are in opposition, and then they're also connected across the 4. So it's a powerful energy of tension. We're going to need 4 planets for that, 4 planets or asteroids. So what are we talking about? But it does bring things into balance. We have Saturn. So, yes, the Akashic records, karma, what has been created in the past. With Jupiter, what wants to expand and become more. And they're almost like opposites, those planets. So I feel like they're one of the 2 opposite energies. But there is something like abundance being created by a firm knowledge, by the mastery. Then we have Mercury, so how you communicate. Yes, you're going to have to communicate this. You don't really have any choice. And Chiron, communicating healing in some way. Also, Chiron, I always say this, particularly when I've got like the Hierophant turning up in the Akashic records, Chiron was also the teacher of magicians, so you may be teaching other people how to do this as well. So it's a big energy. What is the other aspect that we're looking at? Conjunction. So 2 energies are going to come together to help with this. Grand Cross is fairly tense. It's a push. It's like you've got to do it. You don't have any choice. Conjunction could be more easeful. It's 2 energies coming together, unless they're difficult energies with each other. So we'll just see what we get. So firstly, we have Venus. So the heart, love, beauty, the divine feminine, and Neptune, the spiritual. Yeah, the heart and the spiritual, they work well for you. There is something beautiful about doing this. There is something that comes from the heart, but it's very connected to the subtle energies. And how you present yourself, the beauty of the words, the beauty of the message is going to be important. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to look at in terms of a timeline shift is almost a concept of what is the story you're moving from and the story you're moving to. So I'm using a deck that has like fairy stories, mythologies, and sometimes just symbols. It doesn't mean that everything that's in the story that you're moving from is bad. If there's something good in it, you can carry it with you. But And it doesn't mean everything you're moving towards is going to be picture perfect either. It might show, the next level of challenge. But I just want to see how the narrative is shifting when you shift timelines. So where you are now, okay, duality, the Selkie. We'll talk about that in a second. And where are you going to? Sleeping Beauty. Okay, this is an awakening. This is a revelation. This is waking up to who you truly are. Duality, you're more than you think. And the interesting thing is right now, you kind of know it because duality, the Selkie, is a Irish legend of a sea creature that can turn into human. I don't know whether it's at night time they turn to a human or in day, but it's like kind of having a double life or feeling like there's a double life, or that you can only show one aspect of yourself. So I think that this is saying that that's where you're feeling stuck at the moment. That's what you're moving away from so that you can be more open about who you are. You're ready to do that. But this whole timeline shift will wake up something that you didn't even think was going to happen. And I think that's the message that you're then going to feel you have to bring with Sleeping Beauty. It's like you do this because you're ready to be independent and you think, I know who I am, but there's something else that's going to wake up as a result of that. And that brings it to others, I think. Okay, let's get you a spirit guide. So I'm using a deck that I always do look at the book because it doesn't just have the guide that we do, but it says what other sort of systems, what other spiritual systems, similar energies are in case you don't recognize this one, but you recognize one of the others. So what's a spirit guide energy for this timeline shift? Kuranos. Okay, so Kuranos is connected to Capricorn and to Saturn, so it has a lot to do with this. It's also inspired by Saturnus, Shiva, Osiris, and other mountain kings, and it represents the kind of discipline that resists gravity. Mountains are sacred places towering into the heavens with their roots in the underworld. The greatest kings must survive the mountain climb as well as its summit and live on to descend to the people with the will to build a better world. It's to dance with death. Now, it's not literally about death, but like thinking about this, when you jump off the dragon's back and you learn to fly, you're kind of taking a risk in a way. He calls us to question our relationship with the mineral world and the forces that bind us. Have we scaled the mountain just to look down on others? Has our ambition taken us too far from home? Ensure that your work is in the service of real life and not mere fantasy. So this is saying that because you've mastered something and you're ready to be free, it is adding an extra responsibility to you. And this is why you're going to be forced to do the message, I think, because you're meant to help others as well. And that's what it's going to wake up in you that you didn't expect. So this is like, as I say, the best analogy I can use here with everything that we've seen is that you've been doing a particular type of job and you've got to a point where now you can be independent. You go and do that. But the important thing then is to carry forward the mastery you have and help others and communicate with others, so it doesn't just become just a competitive thing. And with that, you have a sense of the soul energies more than most. So you're not going to fall into that trap. You are actually going to do it, but you're going to sense, oh, I have to do that. I have to awaken my voice. I have to say something. Okay, so to finish this off, I just want you to choose a number between 1 and 3 because we're going to get a synchronicity, a dream symbol, something like that to tell you that you are going through the timeline shift. So pause if you have to because I'm about to deal it out. The number 1 to 3 will tell us which is your symbol. So number 1, we have tree. Number 2, we have frog. And number 3, we have dog. Okay. So if you chose number 1 with the tree, growth, roots, protection, stability, spirituality. I mean, the spirituality is the big core of this, but it has a very material outcome. And this is about growth and abundance. This is going to be very good for you. You will do very well because you have mastered what you are ready to move into, and you are meant to be independent, and you can pick up the subtle energies and so forth. But I think the real growth is going to be in how you communicate that going forward. If you chose number 2 with frog, gender fluid, flexible, adaptable, luck, fertility, any of those sort of things could be energies or feelings that you have as you become more independent, you express who you are. I feel this is showing how adaptable you are, and you'll know when you've adapted to the new world and the new ways of doing things and the new ways of communicating that this independence entails. And if you chose number 3, dog, masculine energy, loyalty, assistance, duty, and discipline, I think that's picking up the discipline side of this. I think that for some of you, this becomes a timeline shift to a great degree of stewardship, creating a legacy, creating others, teaching others, bringing a message that's important, Like there's a real sense of like, I'm going to be loyal to a cause here. And it connects back to your understanding of how important the subtle energies are and the importance of the karma and so forth. I also feel like you'll have a very strong friend that will help you with this as well. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.